Because he is a fascist in every sense of the word, Donald Trump needs our country to be in a constant state of war against imaginary enemies, because imaginary enemies are easier to defeat than real ones. He cannot defeat real enemies. In June, he launched Operation Midnight Hammer, where American jets, including stealth bombers, dropped 14 bunker busters, each weighing 30,000 pounds, dropped them on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. And then he stood in front of Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and Pete Hegseth to declare victory over Iran, which he said learned its lesson and will put an end now to its nuclear program. Right after the airstrikes, Iran's foreign minister said his country would begin to allow nuclear inspectors into some of our nuclear facilities. Well, that was the reason for the airstrikes. Iran wasn't cooperating with UN inspectors. And as time passed, UN inspectors were allowed to see some of Iran's nuclear facilities, but not the ones our military had targeted. And 6 days ago, Iran announced no more inspections. You can't see anything. That's what they announced. Interesting how that works. Trump insisted we bombed Iran, and now they folded. Why did we bomb Iran? I thought they were going to allow in UN inspectors. Not going to happen. And then there was the big peace deal in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. Trump took credit for it last month. The hostages, what was left of them, were released. That was an accomplishment. But since then, about 350 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, close to 1,000 injured. That's Trump's peace plan. So far, 350 dead Palestinians, 1,000 injured. According to The Economist, Al Jazeera, and the New York Times, Hamas is still very much in charge of the 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza. Is that a success? Back in March, Trump ordered airstrikes on Houthi fighters in Yemen. Our missiles hit a migrant detention center in Yemen. We killed 61 innocent African migrants. They were primarily Ethiopian. We injured another 56. Amnesty International is now calling on the Pentagon to investigate their own war crime. Yeah, that's going to happen. U.S. CENTCOM, which was in charge of these airstrikes, they say they killed as many as 800 Houthi fighters in what was called Operation Rough Rider. This was back in March. Remember when Pete Hegseth, our defense chief, shared classified information on these airstrikes? He shared them in real time on a group signal chat that included his wife and brother, and accidentally a reporter for Atlantic magazine. That's in direct violation of the Espionage Act, by the way. Anyway, independent audits put the civilian death toll from these Houthi airstrikes at more than 300, with more than 800 injured. It's a lot of dead people. The Houthis are still firing into Israel. They're still hitting ships in the Red Sea. On September 29th, they hit a Dutch ship, killing one sailor, injuring another. After last month's ceasefire in Gaza, the Houthis said they will resume attacks on Israel the moment Israel resumes attacks on Palestinians. What did we accomplish? Well, it doesn't matter, because these attacks on the Houthis in Yemen scored points with the Saudi government, which has been trying to defeat the Houthis for 10 and a half years. The Saudis have been dropping American-made precision-guided cluster bombs on the Houthis. These are precision-guided cluster bombs outlawed by an international treaty in 2008. We didn't sign that treaty. Saudi Arabia didn't either. The Saudi bombing campaign resulted in the single largest cholera outbreak in recorded history. Our bombs over Yemen resulted in the single largest cholera outbreak in recorded history. Since 2016, as the fighting in Yemen intensified, fighting among the Yemenis, the Houthis, and the government, and then the Saudis intervening to defeat the Houthis. They haven't succeeded. Since 2016, close to 3 million Yemenis contracted cholera because our bombs destroyed infrastructure and medical care, and 70% of all the water sources in Yemen are contaminated. And that resulted in an ongoing cholera epidemic, which is the largest cholera epidemic in recorded history. As a result of the bombing and the fighting, half the population of Yemen relies on humanitarian food assistance. Half the country will starve without humanitarian food assistance. In 2024, America provided $100 million worth of food to the people of Yemen. This year, Marco Rubio gutted U.S. aid, terminated all foreign humanitarian aid to Yemen. But we saved $100 million. We no longer feed half the people of Yemen, but we saved $100 million. Oh, by the way, Operation Rough Rider, that bombing campaign over Yemen that lasted just a couple of weeks. It started on March 15th, lasted a couple of weeks. More than $1 billion to drop and fire more than 2,000 bombs and missiles on Yemen. $1 billion. But we're not spending $100 million feeding the people. Literally money for bombs, but not for food. I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak. If you liked any portion of this show, please share it with your friends and family. Please like this episode so I remain in your feed. Hit the like button? Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to my newsletter. What else? Thank you to Bob and Mila in the chat room. I read all your comments. If I made any mistakes, please let me know. I will try to do a show sometime after Thanksgiving. If you're watching this after Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving.
You're listening to The David Feldman Show, you happy, self-actualized hump.